Cooking with Love. This is our episode number 7, I believe. And if you remember from some of our previous shows, our very first one, I talked about a cookbook, which was my grandmother's cookbook. And I mentioned that we would be doing some recipes from there. And in fact, today we're going to do one of the most popular recipes from there, which is pasta fagioli, also known as pasta fazool and a few other things too. But today we're going to do that, which is one of the most used or made dishes in the cookbook, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Now if you look around a little bit, or look behind me, you're going to also notice we're somewhere that we usually aren't. Although this is one place I've spent a great deal of time, and this is actually Mom and Dad's house. So we are very fortunate. We're going to actually make the recipe right here, and I hope you enjoy that as well. All right, and you can't be at Mom and Dad's house unless you have Mom and Dad with you. So while Dad's behind the camera, Mom's going to be right here with us. So this is Carmela Barrasso.
Hello.
Mom, thanks for joining us today. And she reluctantly is playing with us today, but I'm awfully glad for it, for sure. There's nobody who knows how to cook this better than her. So that's why she's here today. So we're going to jump right into it. And Mom, as you know, it comes from your mother's recipe book, and as you can tell, she even uses this a great deal. So the pasta fagioli, one of the oldest dishes that we used to have it growing up all the time. Sometimes we'd have it with rice, sometimes with the elbows, usually with the elbows. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of walk through the ingredients like we usually do. And then you're going to cook it for us. You're going to show us how we put it all together on the stove. But Mom, we use elbows, and we pre-cook those, right? Mm-hmm. It's a really kind of a quick recipe to do, very simple, right?
Very economic,
Yeah, exactly. It was actually known as a peasant dish in Italy because it was so cheap to make, and there's few ingredients, but very filling. And because of the shelled beans, which is what we use here, we use a can of, you can't find these everywhere actually, you have to look a little bit. They're Stewart shelled beans. That's actually the name of the bean. It's not a cannellini bean or a navy bean. These are actually called shelled beans. And in this particular recipe, you do not drain them. So we're going to put that right in, and you'll see that in a little bit. She'll show you how she does that. We use a little can of tomato sauce. That's an 8-ounce can. You can use just regular, marinara sauce or tomato sauce you have in the fridge. A couple spoonfuls of that. We're going to add some water to it as well. Mm-hmm. We have some basil, some parsley, and of course you got to have some fresh garlic. And to make it all, it's all in one pan. And this pan, when did you say you got this?
Before I was married.
All right, and you've been married how many years now?
57.
57 years, all right. 58, Dad's yelling from the back. All right, so 58 years. She must have forgot one or two of them. And as you can tell, this is a much-loved pan as well. It's even got no handles left anymore. I'm sure we burnt those off at one point when we had the old electric stove. But we still use it. I think it's still our favorite pan. It's about a 3-quart pan, so that's really the important thing. You need about a 3-quart pan to make this. What we'll do is we'll show you how we put all the ingredients in. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to actually marry all the flavors. And then you just take the pasta, and we're just going to put it in. And of course you cover it with grated cheese. Now, this right here is grated cheese. It says Sicilian olives, but it's actually grated cheese because that's where she stores it, in an old Sicilian olive container, which I love, and that's really what you do when you grow up Italian, right? You reuse things, you find what works for you. This is a great, I think this is probably as old as I am because it's been in our refrigerator that long, but it works. So what happens is we buy the big chunks of the Romano cheese.
We grind it.
We grind it up, and we'll make Dad grind it up, and then we put it in this and we save it, and we use it, pull it right out of your fridge, and it is light years better than the stuff you'll buy with the shaker at the store. So if you have some time, buy some real stuff, shake it up, and go find an old container to keep it in, and you'll be very happy you did. All right, so let's get to the stove and make it.
All right.
Okay, we're about ready to start. We're going to put some oil in the bottom of the pan, not too much, but just to cover it a bit. And we'll put in the garlic.
Now, Mom, you have that on what, medium heat?
So far, it's not quite warm enough.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Okay, use your fingers.
Get every drop.
Yeah. I should have had that heated.
That's all right. Just let it
It
get
won't
there.
take long, you know, you don't want to burn it, but a little browning.
Bring it up a little bit.
Yeah. And start. Hear the sizzle. Right?
Mm-hmm. So you can hear and see that starting to sizzle up.
Okay.
And then what?
It smells. So then we're going to put in the can of beans. And we're going to add a can of water. I think I might let this simmer just a little bit. And what I do is I try to crush some of the beans.
And why are you crushing them?
Well, to be very honest, I don't like too many beans. So I crush them, and I think it gives more flavor. So I do crush them.
And then you don't have to eat whole beans.
Right.
It's all part of the sauce.
I usually use the mallet.
Oh, really? You really crush them?
Yeah, I do. Come on, cook up here.
There you go.
Believe me, when I crush them, I crush like half of them, but we'll keep on going.
Yeah, that's fine. So you can see they're actually little white beans. They're pinkish tan outer coating. As I said, they're just called shelled beans. That's the name of them. Great.
Okay, and we're going to add salt and pepper, and to taste. Can always add more. And we'll throw in the parsley.
Now we're using dried parsley for this. If you wanted to use fresh, you could, but you would add it towards the end.
And,
Same with the basil.
okay. And I think I'd like to use this one. And I think we should let that cook for 10 or 15 minutes. And we can add, I would say, half of this, Linda.
Mm-hmm. So it's about 4 ounces of just a canned tomato sauce. Like I said, if you had your own, you could certainly use that. Do you want to add the water?
I think I'd like to simmer that for 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll add the water, another 10 or 15 minutes, and you're home free. Meanwhile, we're going to cook the elbows
Mm-hmm.
in a separate pan, and they'll be waiting. And then bon appetit. Now,
You gonna let that cook? Go ahead.
yeah, you want to make it real hot and bring it to a boil and let it simmer 5 minutes. And depending on how much macaroni you're cooking, but this is 1 cupful, and hopefully it'll be enough juice. But
You can add some more
You
water.
can always add
and
more
sauce.
water, or not only sauce, but perhaps if you added even a bouillon cube, but that might make it too salty, right? You can take that out.
No worries. You'll have plenty of sauce for
You
that.
think so?
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds good to me. Okay, it's time to put the elbows in. Put them all- That's 1 cup of elbows. And there you have it. Bring it, warm it up, and we're all set to eat. Time for tasting.
Well, now it's time to do our favorite part, which is to taste it. And Mom did obviously a fantastic job making it. But before we get there, and you'll know this guy to my right here, this is Dad. You can't eat something without letting him taste it. So we brought him in as well. So this is Al. Al, and thanks for coming by, Papa. Before we get to the tasting part though, let me tell you a little bit about the actual dish. As you know, I like to give you a little bit of that background and some of the folklore associated with the dish. This particular dish doesn't have much folklore, but just to give you a little bit of information, as I mentioned briefly, this is a very traditional meatless Italian dish. And like many other dishes, from pizza to polenta, it was a peasant dish because it was very inexpensive. And of course, people didn't have a lot of money back then. And they don't today either. But that is how it originated. Now, oftentimes, you heard me call it pasta fagioli. I mentioned it's also called pasta fazool. That's more in the United States. It's called pasta fazool. You might remember some songs that actually have that in there, right? That's amore, and when the stars make you drool, just like pasta fazool. I'd let him sing, but then we wouldn't get out of here. So, but basically, it is a very inexpensive dish, as you saw, a very quick dish to make. And the beautiful thing, it is filling, and because of the beans, it has the protein you need. The word for beans is fagioli, or fazool in some different dialects, but that's really all there is to it. It's a very simple dish. Sometimes you'll find it with tomato and tomato paste, sometimes you will not. In this case, as you know, we use tomato paste, or tomato sauce, sorry, for it. But now, like I said, the important thing is to try it. So I'm going to dish out a little bit here. We have some of those crushed beans. We're going to add a little of that grated cheese in the Sicilian olive container we talked about. You like a lot of cheese, Dad?
Yes, plenty, thank you.
I get a little extra
Just
here.
like your mother, you put more in anyways.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't listen to you. All right, and then go ahead. You can tell everybody how it is.
This is one of my favorite dishes,
All right.
especially in a cold, cold day. It's like a bowl of soup. It's a rib sticker, nice and warm.
All right. How'd we do? Hot.
Delicioso,
There you go. Excellent.
very good.
Let me try it and see if he's actually telling the truth. Of course, anything with grated cheese is going to be delicious, but
Hot.
yeah, so be careful. You can tell we have the crushed beans in here
It is hot.
that make it a little thicker. There are some whole beans in there. Mom's just going to eat around those since she doesn't like the big ones, but
Very good.
excellent. You can taste that little bit of basil, certainly the garlic. And that's all there is to it. This is a great thing, especially today. If you looked outside, it's a very rainy day. You can't beat that. Very inexpensive, great dish for a family. And that's all. So,
Excuse me.
like everything else, these are fabulous dishes I learned from Mom and Dad, I guess. And they wouldn't be nearly as good if there wasn't so much love in them. So thanks again. And join us for our next episode. We're not sure what we're going to be doing, but we'll be doing it again right here. Welcome back to Cooking with Love. And today we are once again in the family home and Mom and Dad's house. And to my left is Carmela Verasso, Mom, the best cook in the world. And today we're going to do one of those things that everybody loves. And you can find at most Italian restaurants. You can certainly find it at mine at Peppercorns on Main. And we are making sausage cacciatore. And it's, believe it or not, it's a simple dish. I think you're going to be amazed at how simple it is to do. And we're going to jump right in. We have sausages, we have 3 different colored peppers, some onions, mushrooms, a little wine, and I'm going to let Mom show you how we do that. We're going to do it all right here. So why don't you go ahead, Mom, and turn this down a
We're
bit.
going to start with an electric frying pan. It doesn't have to be. Put some oil on it.
A little oil on the bottom to cover it up.
And we're going to put our sausages in, and it won't take long to brown them.
So it's just an oil to cover the pan, and then we're browning the sausages on all sides.
They're all gonna get
Okay.
splattered,
You gotta be careful because it will splatter at you. Of course, Mom's going to get a screen that she has to cover that.
Making little noises.
There you go.
You don't get killed here.
Yeah. And all you do is just takes a few moments. We're gonna brown the sausages, right? And you're gonna flip them over, show them how it looks. All right, you can see there's just a little golden brown. It doesn't take much time at all. So Mom, why don't we fry these up here? I'm gonna brown them on all sides. And after we brown them, it'll take probably about 4 or 5 minutes. We're gonna come back and we're gonna show you what we do next. We're gonna take them out of the pan and then we're gonna do the vegetables. Okay, so as you can tell, our sausages are all nice and brown, and we're gonna let those sit and rest for a few moments. While we let those rest, Mom's gonna show us the next steps, and then we'll cut the sausages after that as those are all cooking, and we'll put it all together and let it cook, and then we'll try it, of course. So Mom, why don't you show us what we do next?
Okay, we're gonna saute the onions first.
Now the onions, this is about 1 medium onion or so, and we cut it in big chunks.
And
The same pan, we didn't change the oil or anything, it's all right there.
And I really, because my mother did them separately, I do them separately, but maybe some people put them all together, I'm not
Right.
sure.
So separately, meaning she's gonna cook the onions, remove those from the pan. Then we'll add the peppers, remove those from the pan. And now the mushrooms you don't add into the pan until the very end, correct?
Right, because you really don't have to cook them.
Right, and then they shrink up too much. So if you really want a nice chunk of mushroom, actually add that at the very end of the dish. So what are we looking for on the onions? Get them a little brown or just?
Yeah, just a little brown.
Okay, you see that's happening here.
You hear the sizzle?
Smells good from over here. Right. Doesn't take too long.
No, it's really, you can have, a lot of these dinners you can make in an hour, sometimes a half an hour. And,
You have to do that. There you go. So they're all just a little brown edges there is fine. Putting those right back into the same dish they came from. Notice we're using a slotted spatula just to leave the oil in the pan. All right, there's your that. We'll add the peppers.
Now we'll do the peppers.
Yep.
Peppers.
Yep. You can use just green. You can use whatever you happen to have. In this case, we're using tricolor peppers. Again, cut about the same size as the onions are. Now these sometimes take a little longer to cook, right, Mom? But
Yeah, well, yes, because you don't want to burn them, so you have to keep turning them.
Okay.
Because if you let them stay, they get brown. And it doesn't look too pretty.
oh, all right. That's the love part. Love. Okay, while those are going, I'm going to come right around here actually, and I think the sausages are rested enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take this tong. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this tong right here. Mom, you told me, how old are these? 58 years old?
Yeah.
These are 58 years old because she bought them for sterilizing her bottles for when we were babies. So that's what those are. So we're just going to take that, we're going to hold it. And the sausages I'm going to cut just on a little bit of an angle. only what, about a quarter of an inch or a half an inch thick, Ma?
Half is fine.
Half is fine, nice
It doesn't
little
get
angle.
too big, yeah.
And that's all, nothing, maybe 4 or 5 pieces. We're just cutting them up a little bit of an angle here, and I'm going to show you down here in the thing. It's not too wide. And we're just going to do that for all the sausages, because once the peppers and onions are done, you'll see we're going to keep going here, and we're going to put it right back in, everything right back in the pan. So I'll cut these, you go ahead and stir. Here, let me give you your dish, you can put those back, and I'll get out of your way here. And you just use any knife to do this, your favorite knife, a flat edge knife will work better than a serrated, but whatever you happen to have on hand. Now you can see, we just browned these sausages, so they're still raw inside. They're gonna finish cooking and impart all that flavor right in the dish with everything else as we go. How are the peppers coming?
Fine. Peppers you have to really cook slow. You can't cook them fast because they get brown.
They burn, the edge, outside edge burns. And that's more about the appearance than the taste though, isn't it?
Yeah. That tastes good.
Yeah. All right, and again, I think I said we have 1 pound of sausages here. And that's equivalent to about 2 peppers. And then 1 more on the sausages while she takes that out. And then we're gonna keep going and combine everything. So if you take some time and prep these things ahead of time, it's very simple and quick to pull together. So now what you're gonna do, we're gonna put everything back in, we're gonna add a little garlic to the oil. Okay. You don't have to add garlic because there is a lot of flavor just in of itself, and there's seasonings in the sausages. But I like garlic, so we're gonna put it in. And then we're going to add all the veggies back now, or the sausages first, does it matter?
Put everything together. Put the
Okay.
sausages.
All right, let's do that.
It's cooking.
Okay, here's some more here. Go ahead. Oh, how you use these things. Okay. And the onions. So, you do salt and pepper at this point, maybe?
Yeah.
I'll let you put a little of that in, and then we have just a little bit of dry basil. We're putting that in as well.
You don't need too much salt or pepper because the sausages seem to have a lot.
Okay. All right, and at this point, we're gonna add a little wine. Now, the wine, we're using a little zim here. You can use whatever you have, a red wine or even a white wine.
If you don't like wine, don't use it.
That's right, that's right. So if you don't have to use it, but it does give it another little bit of flavor. So I'll add in maybe half a cup, I don't know about that. maybe a quarter cup. Here, I'll give you just a bit more, Mom. There you go. And we're gonna let that cook off. And then some people add a little tomato sauce, which we do. I'm gonna take we have about, I beg your pardon?
You don't really have to.
You don't have to, but we like to add a little of the tomato to it. So that's about 4 ounces.
Make it Italian.
Yes, there you go. That's about 4 ounces of the sauce. Okay, let me scrape that out for you. And we'll just give that a little bit of color. And at this point, you're gonna add those in. And now we're just gonna let those simmer. This entire dish simmer for what, Mom? Maybe 20, 30 minutes?
That's about it. Yes.
And then we'll be ready for tasting. So we're gonna take it now, we're gonna let it simmer up for ourselves here, and we'll be back to you in about 20 minutes or so.
What's great about this is that you can do it all in one pan, so you don't dirty a lot of things.
All right,
And it's great, and it's fast.
well, good. So we'll show you how fast it is, because we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll make Dad try it again.
I think we'll try
There we go.
Sure.
Okay, now there's only one thing left to do, of course, and that's to eat it. As you can see, we have it all nice and sauteed up together. We did add just a touch of water as we were cooking it to make a little more juice. You can do that or not, but you can see that there is some juice in here. And the only thing left, like I said, is to give it a try. So of course, if we're gonna have some food, we gotta bring Dad into it too. So this is Al, and he's gonna be one of our tasters as well today. And the only other thing I want to share with you about this dish is I'm gonna use this spoon to get the juice, is cacciatore is actually the Italian word for hunter. And the reason why this is called cacciatore is because that's exactly when they made it. They would go out and hunt for whatever they were doing, rabbit, whatever they hunt, fowl, etc. Chickens, or I guess you wouldn't hunt chicken, but you'd hunt whatever you hunt. Anyway, they would come back into the lodge, and these hunters would just throw all the vegetables in it, the meat, usually on the bone, and cook it all up, and that's where this cacciatore came from. So this actually means hunter, and it is for when they did their hunting trips, and this is what they would come back and make. So, I'll give it to you, Dad, first.
And make sure you have fresh Italian bread.
There you go. There's nothing like Italian bread with this.
Give that.
All right, we'll put that aside for Fred. Mom, you just want a little tiny piece there? One piece. What's wrong? You don't like it? There you go. And if you want to, you can put a little cheese on it. You don't need to, but I'm going to add just a little. And then you give it a try. And you have, like I said, all the different colors. Go ahead, Mom.
By the way, you can cook this on the stove. It doesn't have to be in an electric skillet, and just a regular saucepan.
Right.
And I'll do it in one. I think it's great.
Right. And now the only other thing I can tell you, some variations on this, and this is so delicious. But if you were to use a spicy sausage, you can certainly do that. You can do the exact same thing, but use chicken. You can use shrimp. At the restaurant, we do a shrimp cacciatore. The process is exactly the same. You just cook it all together in the one pan. Make sure you put in a lot of love, and then you have a delicious cacciatore. So thanks again for joining us with Cooking for Love, and we'll see you again soon.
See you.
That is yummy though.